Alright, so hi everyone, my name is Connor, and I'm going to be giving a presentation on my context-adjusted Markov chain RA24 matrix for baseball. So, first off, what even is an RA24 matrix? So, the RA24 matrix was first developed by Fangraphs in the 2000s as a way to numerically evaluate an individual play's impact on the game in baseball. It is a matrix or grid of either expected runs, which would be like the average number of runs you'd expect to score by the end of the inning, or run probability, which is the likelihood of scoring at least one run. And this is based on the 24 different game states based on outs and where the runners are located. And each different situation has a different value within the matrix, whether that be expected runs or run probability. And basically the main issue I was trying to tackle in this project is that the matrix originally developed by Fangraphs is traditionally based on entirely league average data. But obviously most lineups are not league average. You have better hitters at the top and you have worse hitters at the bottom. And so that was the main issue I wanted to tackle. So here's an example of the RA24 matrix using league average data. I took this from the Fangraphs website. So what did I change as part of my project? So the main focus here was to create a model that built RA24 matrices for specific patterns and specific lineups. The first part of this was creating a batted ball bucket model to get accurate expected outcomes for each hitter to use in the next part of the simulation. So typically batted ball data is much more accurate than simple results data because there's a lot of luck and like scoring issues, whether that might be like calling certain things a hit versus an error. So a lot of that goes into skewing the results. And typically batted ball data is much more accurate in that regard. So in my model, I scraped multiple years of StatCast batted ball data from Baseball Savant. Then I grouped all individual players' batted balls in buckets of 3 miles an hour of exit velocity and 3 degrees of launch angle, ranging from 90 degrees to negative 90 degrees and 40 to 120 miles an hour. And so then I matched the frequency for each player's batted balls to fall in certain buckets with league average outcomes for the equivalent bucket. For example, a hitter may hit a certain percentage of their balls with an exit velo between 100 and 103 miles an hour and a launch angle of 30 to 33 degrees. So that portion of their batted balls would then be assigned league average outcome probabilities for that exit velocity and launch angle bucket. So then if you add up all the buckets, you get a more consistent model for batted ball outcomes that rewards quality contact and is less subject to random luck. And yeah. So the second part was that using the probabilities generated from the bucket model, we can then fill in the RA24 matrix with values generated with a Markov chain Monte Carlo simulation. So basically what a Markov chain Monte Carlo simulation is that you start with a certain game state, and because it is a matrix, we start with all the different game states. And then using the probabilities generated, you generate a random number and you get a random outcome. So that might be a certain probability of hitting a double or a certain probability of striking out. And then you simulate that until the end of the inning for each game state. And then you do that, the more and more times you do that, then you start to get a more accurate picture of what the expected numbers are for each game state with each lineup. So then the more simulations you run, typically I run 10,000 simulations, the randomly generated outcomes and numbers get more and more accurate. So now let's do a live demonstration of the website I built. Oh, yeah. But that's from my own computer, so it's not gonna work on this.
Oh, okay. Do you want to send that to me really quickly if you can?
Oh, well, it only works on the files from my computer.
Oh, okay. Trying to figure out how we can do this.
I have my computer with me. I could plug it in.
How about you?
Or I mean, I do have some of the data. I can just
okay.
go
Maybe show the data. Yeah, just for time's sake. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, the first lineup that I did a lot of simulating with was the Dodgers opening day lineup from this year. So this is the first matrix. You can see you have the RA24 for expected runs and the RA24 for run probability. And what you can see is, as you might expect, the numbers are much better than average because obviously the Dodgers 2026 opening day lineup is really good. And so this is starting from Shohei Ohtani. And Another important thing that I saw about this was that the numbers are actually quite reproducible. So you can see between the two matrices, the numbers that you generate for each individual entry are pretty similar to each other across multiple simulations. And so next, I decided to simulate the play that created the entire idea for making this project in the first place. So judging based on the reactions, I think a lot of people can guess what lineup and what game this is from, and what specific play might be particularly important from it. So if you don't remember, it's the 2025 NLDS Game 2. The video?
Should work.
There should be a video there.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's a video.
Did you put a screenshot of it?
Nah,
Just
I
looking
embedded
at
the video. I know roughly what the play happened.
Don't know, that's not what I'm concerned about that. Hope it doesn't give us an ad. Let's replay. Yeah, makes sense.
Let's replay. So, oh, yeah, no, of course. So basically, a lot of people were talking about why would you bunt in this situation? And initially I thought, bunting in this situation kind of makes sense. They're down by 1, they want to score 1 run. But if you actually do the matrix, so I inputted the lineup. I obviously did it with keeping in mind that Harrison Bader was going to pinch hit in the next spot. So then based on this lineup, you can see the box is highlighted. Initially you have runners on second, no outs, and the expected runs are 1.139 and the run probability is 56.1%. But then if you were to successfully run the sacrifice bunt, then the expected runs drops to 0.792 and the run probability drops to 45.2%. So what I got from that basically is that even if the bunt was successful, it would not have been a positive outcome for the Phillies because their probability of scoring a run drops and their expected runs. So they might have even had a better chance of taking the lead had they not done the sacrifice bunt. And then of course, the sacrifice bunt didn't actually work. So, thank you.